You're staring at a spreadsheet that says your prison made $11 million last quarter and somehow still can't afford to fix the plumbing in cell block C. You're 38 years old and you just became the warden of Alton River Correctional Facility, maximum security, privately operated by a company called Meridian Justice Solutions. Congratulations! You got the promotion because you kept your head down for 15 years, never complained, and most importantly, you never asked questions. The state contracts Meridian $62 per inmate per day to house, feed, and rehabilitate the worst human society has to offer. They pay you $62,000 a year to make sure nobody looks too closely at where that money actually goes. Your pension is decent. Your job is stable, but stable doesn't pay for your 9-year-old daughter's medical bills or the mortgage on a house you bought back when you thought hard work actually meant something. Your first week, you meet your deputy warden, Marcus. He transferred in from a state facility 3 months before you. Clean record, 15 years in corrections, same as you. He keeps a framed photo of his son on his desk. A kid in a little league uniform, gap-toothed smile, holding a bat that's bigger than he is. Marcus talks about that kid the way some men talk about God, like he's the only thing that makes any of this worth doing. First day, Marcus walks you through the facility. He points out the cracks in the walls, the mold in the showers, the infirmary that's running on half staff because Meridian cut the medical budget again. He shakes his head and says, "We're warehousing people, not rehabilitating them, but at least we can keep them alive." You like Marcus immediately. He's the kind of guy who still believes the job means something. 2 weeks in, you're both working late on a staffing audit. He pulls out his phone and shows you a video of his son's first home run. The kid swings, connects, and just stands there in shock, like he can't believe it happened. Marcus is laughing so hard watching it that he has to put the phone down. You watch him laugh and think, this is a good man. This is someone I want in my corner. Then your regional director calls. Her name is Whitmore. She doesn't visit the facility. She doesn't need to. She manages from a glass office 60 miles away where the air conditioning works and nobody screams at night. She tells you Meridian's contract with the state has a minimum occupancy clause, 93%. If the facility drops below that, the state can renegotiate. Your job is to keep the beds full. She says it like she's telling you to restock the vending machines. You ask what happens if the population drops naturally. Parole, good behavior, releases. She pauses, then she says, "That's why we hired you to make sure it doesn't. You should refuse, you should call someone." But then you think about your kid's next surgery. You think about the credit card statements piling up. You think about how the state built this system and Meridian just optimized it. So you start making adjustments, small ones. You tighten the disciplinary code. Infractions that used to get warnings now get write-ups. Write-ups that used to get ignored now go on permanent records. Permanent records that used to not affect parole hearings now mysteriously show up in front of the board. Inmates who should be going home in 6 months get denied and serve another 18. You're not breaking any laws. You're just bending the system until it works for you. That's what you tell yourself. Marcus notices. Of course he does. He pulls you aside after a parole review where you submitted a disciplinary report on an inmate named Davis. Davis had been clean for 2 years. Model prisoner. The report cited an incident from 14 months ago that had already been resolved. Marcus looks at you and says, "This report is garbage, and you know it." You tell him it's procedure. He tells you procedure doesn't require you to torpedo a man's freedom over a stale write-up. You tell him to drop it. He does, but he looks at you different after that. Like he's trying to figure out when exactly you changed. 3 months in, Whitmore calls again. Meridian is cutting the food budget by 20%. You're to switch suppliers. The new vendor is cheaper because the food is barely food. You've seen the samples, gray meat, bread that crumbles like drywall, but the savings go straight to the quarterly report. You sign off. A week later, 12 inmates get sick from contaminated chicken. 2 end up in the infirmary. Marcus files an incident report and sends it to the state health board. You intercept it. You rewrite it as a minor gastrointestinal event and submit a version that blames the inmate's pre-existing conditions. Marcus finds out. He stands in your doorway and just stares at you. He doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He says, "My son asks me what I do at work. I tell him I keep people safe." Then he walks away. That sentence stays in your head for weeks. You can't get rid of it. You start drinking on weeknights. 6 months in, the money starts hitting different. Whitmore introduces a performance bonus structure. Keep occupancy above 95%. You get 40,000 on top of your salary. Keep incident reports below a threshold, another 20. Maintain operational costs under budget, another 15. You're suddenly making 137,000 a year to run a facility that's falling apart. Your daughter gets her surgery, you pay off the house. You buy your wife that car she's been wanting. She asks where the money came from. You tell her it's a performance bonus. She doesn't believe you, but she doesn't push. Nobody wants to look too closely at a miracle. Here's what nobody tells you about corruption in a privatized system. It doesn't feel like corruption. It feels like efficiency. Every cut you make has a corporate justification. Every corner you cut has a memo attached. Every life you diminish has a line item on a budget sheet. You're not breaking the law, you're optimizing within it. And that's worse because there's nobody to arrest. No crime scene. Just a slow institutional erosion of humanity that everyone signed off on. The infirmary gets cut to daytime hours only. You sign the order. An inmate named Hernandez has a seizure at 11 p.m. There's no medical staff on site. The guards call 911, but the nearest hospital is 40 minutes away. Hernandez dies on the floor of his cell. He was 26, in for a nonviolent drug charge. Had 8 months left on his sentence. The coroner rules it a medical event. Meridian's legal team drafts a statement expressing condolences and noting that all protocols were followed. You read it and realize they wrote it before Hernandez died. They had the template ready. You're not the first warden to lose someone on the night shift. You're just the latest. Marcus takes it hard. His son's photo is back on his desk. You think about that photo, the gap-toothed kid with the oversized bat? You wonder if Marcus told his son what happened. You wonder if the kid understands that his father is the kind of man who stays honest even when it costs him everything, and that you're the kind of man who didn't. The van pulls through the gates. You hear them close behind you. It's a sound you've heard 10,000 times, but it's different when it's for you. You always thought you understood what that sound meant. You didn't. Nobody does. Not until they're on this side of it. Somewhere, I see music, your daughter is doing homework at the kitchen table. Your wife is pretending everything is normal and Marcus is finishing his shift, driving home to his son, and not thinking about you at all. That's the part that hurts the most. Not the cell, not the sentence. The fact that you were the most important decision Marcus ever music had to make, and he made it. And now you're just a story he tells at depositions. You spent 3 years holding a threat over him, and he walked into a courtroom and told the truth anyway. You couldn't break him. You just broke yourself trying. 7 years, 2,555 days to sit with that. The arithmetic doesn't get easier with time. It just gets more precise.